I am so sorry to interrupt you. I'm just going to have you stand by for a moment. My
Sure.
apologies. I want to listen to Senator Kamala Harris, who announced today she's running for president. She's speaking here in Washington.
Of who we are as a democracy, and I think everyone should run who's thinking about running. In terms of a path, the path is going to be through all of the states that are the 50 states of the United States. The path is going to be about talking to people who are right now aware that this economy is not working for working people. It's going to be about talking with people about the fact that right now we have an administration that has waged a full-on assault on American values and American ideals. It is going to be about speaking truth, especially when there has been so much that is contrary to truth. It is going to be about working to regain the trust of Americans and understanding that they have a right to have a government and to have leaders in this country who see them and care about them and have some curiosity about their circumstance in life and their needs, be it for their family, their neighborhood, or their community, or their country.
A number of Democrats believe that the president has already committed impeachable offenses. The facts as you see them now, would you support impeachment, and what would you need to see if not to get behind?
So you may know, I think you do know, that I'm on the Senate Intelligence Committee, so I can't talk about the facts that I know, but I will say this. My highest priority, and what I believe should be the highest priority, at least for the United States Congress, is that Bob Mueller be able to finish his investigation. There are already 33 indictments that he has returned. Clearly, he is following the facts where they lead him. And there should be no interference with that process, because the American public has a right to know what actually went on, and then we'll make a decision. And certainly that decision will be made in the courts, but it is also possible that decision will be made by the United States Congress in terms of what consequence should occur. Hi.
I was wondering,
The Hilltop.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of college students are feeling discouraged right now about skyrocketing tuition.
Yeah.
And do you have any words of encouragement or policy plans that could help curb those negative?
Absolutely, and thank you. I read The Hilltop every day when I was a student here. It is an incredible piece of journalism, and thank you for being there. There's no question, you're absolutely right. Student loan debt is one of the biggest challenges facing our country and facing our students. And I've met so many students who have talked with me about the burden that they carry that is not only financial but is emotional. It is a burden of wondering whether they should actually complete an education and have a dream about what they may be able to do professionally, because at the very moment they can't pay their rent if they're going to pay off those student loans. And so a number of things. One, I believe what we have to do is also have a commitment to what we need to do around debt-free college and college for all. The other is what we need to do around changing the system in such a way that students can refinance their debt. And currently we don't have such a system. And another is, frankly, the work that I did even as Attorney General, which is that we also have to go after predatory, in particular for-profit colleges that have been peddling misinformation to students, getting them to pay a lot of money and go in debt without a degree that allows them to get any kind of employment. So there are a number of issues, but to your point, it is one of the most challenging issues facing our country, and a lot more attention has to be given to it, and I intend to do that.
Hi, Senator. Over here.
Hi.
Thanks for doing this. I'm curious, when you look back on your record as a prosecutor in California, are there particular decisions that you made or your office made that you either regret or would do differently?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you of cases where I really regret that we were not able to charge somebody that I knew molested a child, but the evidence weren't there. There are cases, as I mentioned earlier, where there were folks who made a decision in my office and had not consulted with me, and I wish they had. But again, I take full responsibility for those decisions. But I will also say that there is a lot about what I did as a prosecutor that I'm proud of. including a recognition that there are fundamental flaws in the criminal justice system and that this criminal justice system needs to be reformed, which is why when I was district attorney, I created one of the first reentry initiatives of any prosecutor's office in the United States. Now, this was a long time ago. Thankfully, at this point, this is the way that things are done, and people understand that's how a prosecutor should think about their work, which is let's be smart on crime, as I've said, instead of deciding either you're soft on crime or tough on crime. Let's understand that if we're going to be smart with the taxpayers' dollars, let's get people out of the system instead of cycling through the revolving door of a jail. But there is work that we have done there. There's work that we have done around racial profiling and in particular implicit bias and racial bias in the criminal justice system and in particular in law enforcement that needs to be addressed. So there's a lot of work that we have done. One of my biggest regrets is that I've not had more time to do more. But it is my intention to keep fighting for it.
All right, Kamala Harris there at Howard University, and that was a very interesting answer that she just gave to a question about her record as a prosecutor. This is something that she's going to be revisiting time and again on the campaign trail. She's trying to say that she was smart on crime, not hard on crime, certainly at this time where criminal justice reform is something that has proceeded here in Washington, and that certain practices have been getting a really scrutinized look at. So she's going to be answering for her record, and this is an interesting look into, on day one of her campaign, how she's going to be tackling that.